Welcome and thank you for joining us this afternoon. We'd like to introduce our moderator, documentary producer, and Los Angeles Film School Class of 2000 alumnus, Mario Novoa.
Welcome everyone watching on this live stream through YouTube or Facebook or Instagram. I know we're live on multiple fronts. My name is Mario Novoa. I am an alumnus of the Los Angeles Film School, class of 2000. Happy to be here moderating this conversation with Danny Hastings. I just wanted to quickly say, as the president of the Los Angeles Film School Alumni Association, it's always good to connect with the more recent grads of our school, but I go way back with some of our alumni from way back in the day. When we used to be analog, and I was just talking about going from analog to digital, so now we're in the digital space. Yeah, without further ado, I wanted to, we're honored to welcome passionate multi-hyphenate Danny Hastings for a chat about getting your work seen. Danny created the official Latino Film Festival in 2015 in response to the lack of Latinx representation in Hollywood films and TV shows. He's going to talk about how the film festival circuit works, what judges are looking for, what's most important, how to build a window where you find an opportunity when those doors are closing. We definitely want to get into the film festival. I want to just share a brief bio of Danny's history. He is a passionate, world-renowned photographer, videographer, director, and founder with over 150 album covers and 40 music videos under his belt. Hastings has also shot and designed an unprecedented number of album covers for some of the biggest names in the industry. He's worked alongside P. Diddy, Taylor Momsen, Mark Anthony, Jodeci, Wu-Tang, Eminem, KRS-One, Jay-Z, Tribe Called Quest, Jiro the Damaja.
Jiro the Damaja.
All right.
The Damaja.
To name a few. In 2015, Danny started the annual official Latino Film Festival to provide opportunities to Latinx filmmakers and actors in the US due to the lack of representation of his community in film and TV, as we mentioned before. He's been able to land partnerships with HBO, Verizon Media, and Diageo for the film festival. All right. So you also wrote and directed 2 feature films, The Love Potion in 2010 and Venus de Macho 2019. So this guy, he's the real deal. He's talking about how to make it in the industry, and if no one's opening the door for him, he's doing it himself. So Danny, tell me, how is it that you've arrived at this moment in your career, and tell us about your humble beginnings.
Wow, it's a lot to unpack, and right away, I guess. But first and foremost, thank you for inviting me to your platform and to talk to your students and alumni. I'm grateful that I'm able to be here and enjoy an amazing career for the past 25 years, and it's been nothing but growth. And so I thank you. Anytime I have the opportunity to talk to younger creatives, I jump on it because I really didn't have that when I got into the business, especially being a person of color. It was like no one around me really did what I was trying to get into, and it was real difficult. But through perseverance and passion and really loving what I do, I got to this place, and I still got more places to go. Like I'm still growing. Let me what's your first question? Really?
There's a number of questions that I have for you, but where are your native roots? Are you from Los Angeles? Are you from where? Where are you from?
Actually, I was born in California. I was born in California, and but my father got sick during the Vietnam era, so my mom had to go back to Panama. We're from Panama, so my dad is Mexican American. He was a captain in the Air Force in the U.S. But the Vietnam era was not kind to a lot of people, from both sides of the spectrum, and he didn't do too well after that. So I grew up in Panama. I grew up in a Caribbean household, single mom. She pretty much did everything she had to do to, get us a good education. Down there, at least if you come from humble beginnings, the family's big, so there was a lot of help, from the family. And as soon as I was of age, he was like, "Look, you were born in the U.S. You got to get back out there and figure something out." So we wind up in New York, and I was like 15, 16 by the time I got to New York. Really didn't speak a lot of English. I had to kind of start from the beginning. And I discovered my passion, which was photography. And my second passion was hip hop and music. So put two and two together, and I started just going for it. Like nobody told me I couldn't. So I started knocking on doors, and before you know it, I started to get a plethora of work that like basically solidify my name in the industry.
Sure. Well, you're far removed from Hollywood or any connections as you might possibly be, right? Anybody who's aspiring to take the journey into multimedia production or understanding what that even means. You went ahead, you have this can-do attitude, you figured it out, photography, music, and then film and film festival. I mean, so there seems to be no ceiling for you. Like you just keep going up. Where do you get that motivation from?
That's a good question. I mean, maybe it's something I had all my life, or maybe it was New York City and hip hop. Like, once hip hop started defining me, and the work that I was doing, I was, rubbing elbows with, African Americans and Latinos, and anybody who was like basically like just reaching for the stars, and most of them, like across the board, we all came from humble beginnings. Like every rapper out there that right now is huge that I photographed, at one point we were, it was a humble beginning for everybody. So I think to see people growing, and to see people acquiring wealth, and to see people breaking down barriers, knocking down doors, I was part of that DNA too. So I said I can do it as well, right? And it was photography, was not music, but was shooting a lot of music. I shot everybody: Nas, JC, Wu-Tang, Eminem, Mark Anthony. All those people at one point we were all just striving for greatness, and in what we do. And I wouldn't really say much about, like, it was really at that point was not really about money. It was about loving what we do, right? So because we never knew that we were gonna have like this fruitful career, which is, I love taking pictures, I love making films, they love making music, somehow I was like the visuals to their also, or I was an extension to their creativity, and vice versa. And I think that as you start to really enjoy the fruits of your labor, and the seeds that you plant start providing, you just keep going. Like there's no going back. Like, and I think that makes you also, to answer your question, that also makes you entrepreneurial, right? Like I had so many times as I was like starting, like so many times, so many people, not my peers, but like my elders, would be like, hey, you gotta get some steady because this photography thing might not work out, And I was like this record just printed 1 million pictures of mine, This record's just sold 1 million copies with my picture on it. My pictures just got reproduced 1 million times, but our peers will not get it. Like not our peers, like our elders, right? Like our parents, or our tios, our tias, like it didn't, they just couldn't comprehend. So, there was one photographer in the family who was my uncle, and he wasn't doing too well. So that was the only example of photography that my family will have. Like, your uncle is not doing too well, you really want to get into this. And I was like, Anna Leibovitz at the time bought a castle in like 1992, 1993, Google it, a photographer. You know what I mean? So if she bought a castle with photography money, like, why can't I do the same, right? So I went for mine. It's like, I didn't really ask for permission. I didn't ask for, can I do this or not? I just went for it because I believe that I could do the same work that these people consider the greatest, we're doing, like Anna Leibovitz, like Herb Ritts, like, Avedon, like all these filmmakers also, like, Quentin Tarantino. I was looking at their stuff and I was like, I can do that too, right? Maybe not, the same of what they're doing, but like my own voice, I could do it, right? So, it's something that I think that if you believe in what you're doing, like if you're in film school for a reason, right? You have some sort of passion. I don't think nobody tries to study the arts of whatever the arts would be if you didn't have like innate curiosity about, what is this, like, if you're good in math, if you're good in chemistry, if you're good in, anything other than the arts, right? You will probably have that path, right? You came to the arts for a reason. And if you were in it, just go for it. Paint every day, record every day, sing every day, dance every day, right? Eventually that passion is going to turn into, a small industry for you, right? So I think that was the key.
Yeah, no, I mean, thank you for the insight. There, you touched on a lot of topics that are interesting in terms of being entrepreneurial, but also your origin story, like where you come from. Like, I think we're from the same vintage as Alex Ferrari, the podcast Indie Film Hustle guy, says on his podcast. We're from the same era, you and I, in terms of age.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that there weren't a lot of representational figures of Latinos in that time. It was very limited. And I think if you're entrepreneurial, you're going to figure it out. You're going to factor it in. You're going to try to make it work. You're going to study the arts in whatever form that is, whether it be going to film school or an art school or going to your library, doing research, because that's what drives you. Myself, my dad was a custodian. He cleaned, the schools. My mother was a seamstress, and she was a salesperson. She sold like Mary Kay. So from them, I saw what the limitations were, and then what the possibilities were. And I'm first generation here. Obviously, also, I've grown up in LA, but I was well removed from the Hollywood machine. Like that was not my world. But there's something to the entrepreneurial side of things that I definitely want to touch on today, because I think as you've been moving up and like breaking these ceilings for yourself, you've traversed different areas of the industry, photography and music and film and, all these endeavors that you've had. And obviously you heard from your family in terms of what was possible and what wasn't possible, at this moment in time, where do you see your future, like in terms of what you've accomplished at this point in time, and where do you want to go in the next few years?
In the next few years, I Danny Hastings is going to be directing and producing a lot of content specifically for streamers, right? Like Netflix, like Hulu. And if that is not a possibility, then I'm going to produce for my own streaming network, right? That is, the reality of it. The reality of it is that, only 4% representation of Latinos are on the big screen, and the small screen, right? So you're talking about, man, that number is dismal. That number is horrible, right? And it's being part of like a machinery that you weren't included then, we're still not included now. You know what I mean? How come a population, of Americans that is well into the 20%, 25%, probably 30% in the future, only has 4% representation, of actors in front of the camera, and behind the camera is even worse.
It's ridiculous.
Behind the camera, you're talking about like 1% at the DGA, Directors Guild of America. Latinos only form 1%.
Right.
So out of 100 directors, only one is Latino. Come on, man.
Yeah, I mean,
that is not.
And you see the consumer side. Latinos do attend a lot of theater events. We do go see movies.
Right.
We're buying the
Right.
streaming services. So
Right.
I think the inequity there is definitely something we need to call out.
Well, so it's not even calling out at this point. Like we had organizations that have been around for 25 years, 30 years, 10 years, 12 years, whatever. You know what I mean? And they haven't moved the needle up, right? They haven't moved the needle. I'm sorry. You know what I mean? I'm not gonna name any names, but they know who they are right now. You know what I'm saying? And what happens is this, like, some of the OGs right now think like, we paved the way, so you guys can. I will never speak like that to my people. You know what I mean? I will never speak like that to my people because the struggle is real. So what I'm doing is I'm creating an avenue so we can have a little more, equal playing field for Latinos out there. You know what I mean? Out of 100 directors, only one is DGA. Only one Latino is DGA. Like, how are you paving the way for us? You know what I mean? So we have to have action, and the action is put the money where your mouth is. Like, we have to invest in our community. We have to, we can't really ask them to do it. They obviously weren't interested. And then I'm talking about the film industry. You know what I mean?
But you're doing something interesting in terms of the film festival route.
Right.
Like, that avenue is something that is rarely heard of. Like, as a founder, and as a person who manages the totality of the film festival, what got you into doing that? Was it just what we talked about?
Yeah, it was passion, bro. Like, I'm really passionate about, my community and equality, and I really love to do it. I love to do my work. You know what I mean? Like, I love shooting, I love directing, I love producing. You know what I mean? And the year before the Oscars, Oscars so white, I was watching the Oscars, and I think it was it Alfonso Cuarón that directed the space movie with
Gravity?
Gravity, we'll say it's right.
Yes.
Right. So, I was watching and he won, and it was like Sandra Bullock, and I think it was like George Clooney, and everybody was like, Mexicano, and I was like, hey, I love his movies, by the way. This has nothing to do with against Alfonso Cuarón. But then I was realizing, like, that's not really our voice here in the US. You know what I mean? Like, Alfonso comes from Mexico, and he probably comes from, by now, he's in a very elite status of filmmaking, right? Equivalent to Steven Spielberg. Some might say yes, some might say no, but some of us will probably say yes, right? He's on that elite, right? So I was like, but where are we? Where are our actors? Where are our filmmakers? Where are our community represented here in the US? One of the largest demographics in the country. And I just didn't feel like gravity really represented me. So I started ranting on Facebook, whatever, social media. And I think somebody was like, hey man, so stop fucking complaining, do something about it. And I was like, yeah, I do have to do something about it, right? But I realized that making films, making my own, I put a stop to my own film that was like in the middle of a production, because I was like, making one film is not going to change. We have to make 100 films. We have to make 1,000 films. You know what I mean? In order to really make an impact. So I was like, I'm going to create a film festival, and I'm going to. I don't want my film festival to be the same old Latino film festival that all the other Latino film festivals are, bringing the Alfonso Cuaróns and bringing the Iñárritus and bringing, Guillermo del Toros, which I love their films, but that doesn't really represent who we are.
I'm with you on that. I'm with you.
Right?
Yeah,
that doesn't
100%.
represent. That doesn't represent us.
Yeah.
I need to know those same talents, but that come from LA, that come from Texas, that come from Miami, that come from Chicago, that come from Hialeah, that come from New York. You know what I'm saying? I need to know our talent that are equivalent to those three amigos, that came from here. So what do? The first American Latino US domestic film festival. And you know how many entries I got? I got 500 entries, brother. That year.
That was that first year?
That was the first year, 2015. I was like, bang, okay, so we have a movement here. You know what I'm saying? And after that, every year it's just been like boom, boom, boom. I don't take anything from our countries, because not that I hate, I just want to be very clear. I love where we come from. And I love all the great films that come from Latin America. But films that come from Latin America, when you watch the first 5 seconds, you will see Departamento de Ciencia y Cultura, auspiciado por el Departamento de Arte, becado, sponsors. Like you see like 5 or 6 different sponsors from their country's art funds. Who's going to sponsor you here?
Doesn't exist.
It doesn't exist. So I created a festival with that mission. And guess what? We actually landed HBO, and I went to HBO specifically, and thank God for the people at HBO. They saw the light, and I was like, the only way we're gonna break this is like, I don't want money for the festival. I want you to give money to the filmmakers. So HBO gives 3 licenses each year directly from our festival to Latinx filmmakers, so they can finally have, some money so they can go and make their films.
That's
a lot
great.
of film festivals right now, they take thousands of dollars and they start doing parties and this and that and, events and this and that. What do the filmmaker get? Think about it. Zero. They may get a mention in Variety. They may get a mention in this. It helps, but it doesn't help them make the next film. The only thing that is going to help them make the next film is money, because films is the most expensive art form, to choose.
Yeah, there's been a lot of discussion with my colleagues about the investment that other countries do to the film world in their sectors, but they don't do it here in the U.S. I've only come to know from funding sources through grants from nonprofits, and that's how we funded some of our documentary work. But it was a minuscule compared to what we needed to actually produce the film. So it's been a lot of in-kind services, and you can't feed your family with in-kind services. You can barely make the movie.
Yeah.
But that's great that you were able to get HBO and have that recognition through them, giving some of the resources to the filmmakers. Can you tell us what the process is in terms of once the film gets through for the submission? I would imagine it's like Film Freeway or something.
Yeah, I mean, I rock with Film Freeway from the very beginning. I couldn't rock without a box. They were just on their way down, and I couldn't even I was like, now Film Freeway was open, it was friendly, it was great.
Awesome. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
it was
still awesome to
awesome.
this
And
day.
they haven't changed. And I called the person, you know, she answers my phone, we talk, you know, it's like it's a real person actually talking, right?
It's
So
not somebody in Amazon deep down in the jungle somewhere.
yeah, exactly,
Over in
exactly.
Washington.
Right.
So tell us, walk us through. I'm a filmmaker. I submitted through Film Freeway for this film festival. What happens internally in terms of judging, in terms of getting the film through to the film festival?
Right. So yeah, you know, you submit the film, and you know, there's a process. You know, we have a programmer. Shout outs to Manuel Solis. He was the programmer for. This is our first year of programmer because I was programming before, you know, and I'm getting so busy that I'm like now building the team. Like last year, I brought. Like last 2 years, we brought judges. So now we have judges and programmers. So we operating like a community, and everybody comes from the community. The judges from last year were actually filmmakers from the year before. The judges this year were going to be filmmakers from the year before, right? So, you know, it's like we are curating our own films, right? I don't want to bring elite filmmakers from other communities. We are choosing our own films. So the judges and the programmer selects, you know, the vision for this year's film. This year was very unique. We were from a pandemic, but believe it or not, we were not shy from, you know, getting like low numbers on submissions. We still were up there with submissions. So our filmmakers went out there con ganas, and through pandemic, we produced films, you know. So you know, like every film festival, we have to select. Not everybody can come on. You know what I mean? So
right, I was about to say you had had 500 the first year. Like
yeah,
that's a lot to go through.
We actually average about 100 films per year, right? So 25%. You have a 25% chance. You know, sometimes it's 400 films. You know what I mean? You have a good chance. Like our film festival has a good chance for you to come in, right? You know, and yeah, we actually announced the selection about 2 days ago. We're about to go live with our website with all the blocks and everything. So we're working this weekend through where the festival is curated. And yeah, just like every festival, you have to go through the process of being judged and just the best ones win, you know?
Yeah. So I've been a
and I want to make something clear, right? So the festival, Official Latino Film Festival, hosts the HBO Latinx Short Film Competition. What is the HBO Latinx Short Film Competition? Is a brand created by HBO that only the Official Latino host, and they choose 3 films from the festival to be licensed to stream on the HBO platform. So far we have officially placed 6 films from the festival directly to HBO, and they enjoy a licensing fee, right? And a deal with HBO. And on top of that, there's been about 10 films outside of those 6 that also got to HBO by way of, you know, the synergy, right? So there's about 16 films from the Official Latino Film Festival on HBO right now, written, directed, and or produced by Latinx filmmakers here in the US.
And there's been an alumnus from the LA Film School that went through that program, right?
Yes.
Alex
Ferrufino, they won Best Film 2 years ago with Slipping into Darkness, and they won the HBO Latinx Short Film Competition. They were the first films to win it, along with Pepito and La Serenata.
That's great. I think you know, it's great to get into a film festival and to be recognized in this capacity is fantastic. I know that I think his film is on HBO Max right now.
Yeah, it is on HBO Max.
You know, the other thing I wanted to ask you, I've been a screener for a film festival, and I also just did a marketing campaign for the Q Films Film Festival in Long Beach. And I know this COVID era has taken a big hit in terms of attendance or people wanting to attend the film festival and all that. What was the trajectory that you guys took from going from a live event to, did you guys go into an online platform?
Yeah, last year we went straight up online, no event, and we started streaming. And the beauty about that was that we were able to reach more people, right? Sometimes what happens with live events, sometimes, you know, hey, if you're not those, you know, 100 people inside the movie theaters, you know, nobody else is gonna see your film, right? And some festivals do really bad. Some festivals have like 10 people sometimes, and you know, in their screenings. We pack the houses, man. So with that being said, online was even better at this point because now
you went international.
Yeah, well, not international. I'm really not interested in international. I'm really interested.
No, but you had international viewers, I would imagine, because you were online, right?
Yeah, we had some, but I think the film festival is what do you call that, geotag? Like it's just really just
oh
US.
right.
But if your film was from LA, now New York people are watching it, Miami people are watching it, Texas people are watching it, like everybody's watching it. Remember, we're like 20 million over here. So you know, there's I think even more. I forgot the number, but you know, I think we're like 50 million, right?
Some I don't remember.
Yeah, I think like we're like 50
numbers.
million Latino or something.
But it's up there.
So it's up there, you know. It's so I'm content with people here in the US, Latinos in the US watching our films, because if we don't watch our content, right, then who else? And the beauty about it too is like our content is in English.
Yeah.
98% of our films are in English. So, you know, African Americans are watching it, white people are watching it, Asians, you know, you name it. Like everybody. You can watch our films if you speak English.
Everybody under the rainbow. Hey, I did want to mention David Manzanales was with Alex Ferrufino with the film that we just talked about, and he's also an alumnus. So shout out to Alex.
Really? Hey, listen. So we just worked. I don't know. I'm such a big fan of those guys. I hired them for my last music video with the RZA Wu-Tang Clan.
Nice.
Coming at you 2020, 2021, which is, I just directed a video and I was like, hey man, I love the way you guys work, you know, your team, and shout out to
what awesome synergy.
Yeah. And not only them, like everywhere I go, I actually hire people from the festival. I was in Chicago, I hire alumni over there. I was in New York, I bring people, like, because the beauty about the festival is that it connects us. And it's not only me, actually. There are filmmakers like connecting with each other at the festival that, like in New York, they didn't know, like, oh my God, I didn't know you were. So they connect with each other in the festival and they work together. And I love that for my people, because I don't think before, you know, there was that synergy happening until Official Latino came in, right?
Hey, congratulations on that, because creating that space is pretty unique.
Yeah, and it happens more, like, actually, even so, even like a couple that got married even met at our festival, like, you know what I'm saying? So you know, we even went beyond just, you know, networking, but even a couple met at our festival. So
love works in mysterious ways.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey,
so
I wanted to ask you, now that you've gone online and you're going to go back to live, if you're going back to live, but is it going to be a hybrid?
We're going hybrid. We're only going to have a live, basically a live segment for the awards. That's it. You know, we're going to have some screenings. We're going to have screenings of like the award winners, and that's it. It's not going to be like a full festival yet. COVID is still very real. I just came from Miami, and out there people were like, COVID doesn't exist. And before you know it, there's some people catching COVID. So, you know, it's a
strange world.
It's a real thing, man. It's a real thing. So we respect the virus, and, you know, all I can say is work around it. But yeah, we're going to do a hybrid. Some of our partners, definitely, you know, who are welcoming it. So, you know, as long as we test everybody before they come in, all that stuff. Everybody's, safe environment. We can actually do a little live event. Yeah.
That's cool. So for the filmmaker, there's more exposure because it's not just geolocated in one area physically. Now with the streaming service, you have more viewers. And we found that this year with last year with Q Films, when I was doing the marketing for them, that we did find we had international viewers for a film festival that only happens in Long Beach. Right. So it kind of was an opportunity. Right. Now, for those students or recent grads or alumni that want to submit to your film festival, when does the submission open for next year?
Oh, it's probably going to be like sometime in January, February. Yeah.
So coming up.
Yeah, February probably.
So opportune time for those that just finished the film or that they're in post-production. Like keep your eye out for this film festival.
And we have a long window too. Like I open it from like February to like July. You know what I mean? It's just like, you have a long, even like people are like, oh, I'm finishing my film. It might have until August. So, it's not like you have to kind of accommodate to the community. You know what I mean? You have to accommodate to the community. And that's one of the things that I, as a film founder, if it doesn't work for the filmmaker, I'm not going to do it. You know what I mean? If there's a partner that wants to be like, we're gonna do this, we're gonna do that, it's like, how is it gonna benefit the filmmaker?
So the submission process, once it opens up, it is tiered, right, in terms of like what the cost is to submit.
Yeah.
The sooner you get it, the cheaper it is. The later you get it in, the more expensive it is.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's pretty standard for all film festivals.
That's pretty standard. I mean, it starts like at $20, you know what I mean? And stays like that for a couple of months. And then it goes up to like 30. I don't think we passed the 40 range. And even so, there's discounts going around and stuff like that, so, but that's like the last weekend. And I mean, it's work, right? It's like you're creating films. We love to do it for free, but people have to watch it. I gotta pay programmers. I gotta pay this. It's like every little helps.
Yeah. So talk to me about the categories, because you have and I'll list them right now. Maybe you can expand on them. You have I guess I'm reading the awards section. You award prizes for drama, comedy, documentary, exceptional artistry, music video, webisode, sketch comedy, video blog, out of this world award, cinematography, script, actor, actress. Like, you really do recognize a lot of the talent and the genres.
We do. Let me tell you, there's been some tears on those awards too, man. People get those awards and they feel, they get emotional, because for the longest time, we don't get recognized. You know what I'm saying? There's actors in these films that have been acting for, 10, 15 years, and it's hard for them to break through because always the roles come, the Latino stereotype, you need to be a certain, can you exaggerate the accent? Like, white people write films for us with a Latino landscape, right? Like, they think that, Latinos are a certain way because they don't have really no connection with our community. The only connection is probably, their maid, their gardener, you know what I'm saying? And they just,
gang member.
Whenever you see an Adam Sandler film, guarantee you there's going to be a gardener and a maid. I guarantee you, man, watch those films again. You know what I mean? And it's like, coño, bro, like this guy doesn't know a comedian that could be at the part. Like, he can't bring John Leguizamo, Rosie Perez be on his films.
Because we're not in the room. We're not in the room.
I get.
Yeah.
We're passionate about it.
We're not at the executive level. We're not, the decision makers. We're not funders. Right. That affects everything.
Right. So the room can shift. An official Latino, we are the room.
Yeah.
Right. An official Latino, we are the room. You can watch a film on space with Latinos. You can watch a drama like Slipping into Darkness right? And it's a the humanization of a Latino that has gone through, you know, a violence, you know, upbringing, or his father wasn't that, and then he's trying to get away from it, but you know, he gets sucked back into that. You feel the pain. You feel the pain of the character. You feel the pain of the family, the pain of the kids. And then you have a film like Serenata, that is basically an LGBTQ family film, right? About a family that, you know, that has a boy that is identified as LGBTQ community, and the father, who's, you know, a straight man or heterosexual, right, says, that's my son, no matter what. I love him how he is. I gotta do what I gotta do. See, breaking the stereotypes. You know what I mean? Then you have a film like 1, 2, 3, All Eyes on Me, written by a Latino director about a school shooter and what the victims went through. So it's not, you know, we're in the room, we're creating that room. Our room is full of executives, Latinos, that are writing, directing, and producing the films that we want to see. No longer are we, you know, the help, you know.
Yeah.
How they see us, right?
Official Latino Film and Arts Festival. You know, you can go out and do a search on Google.
It'll come up.
You can submit in starting January, February. So keep your eye out on that. I know we're going to take some questions, and I wanted to just bring that up because we got about 15 minutes left.
Yeah.
And I definitely want to just talk about a little bit about your history and too as a creator,
Right.
because you have such a diverse portfolio. I checked out your website, one of the best content creator websites out there, I think. And, you know, because as creators, a lot of us from the LA Film School are not great at marketing or branding ourselves. And that's really important, because people look at not only your work, but they're also looking at how you present yourself. So tell us a little bit how you present yourself to the world in terms of what you're sharing outside of the film festival. So as a creator.
As a creator, I feel that I do have to, you know, showcase the best work available to the clients. The clients are not going to hire you because, you know, you're, you know, a person of color or white or whatever. The clients is really just going to hire you because of the best work that you have in your reel. So my work speaks for itself. When it comes to photography, when it comes to music videos, when it comes to branded work, when it comes to any work that I do, it has to be competitive, right? In the sense of, and when I mean competitive, I don't even mean like competing with fulanito and fulanita out there, you know. I mean competitive, like for me, right? Like I know that the quality of work that you're seeing is the best, right? So I think that you have to really, really like ask, like basically ask yourself, am I already prepared enough to really, you know, compete out there, right? You have to study the entire platform, right? Like when I was developing my photography style, right? We didn't have any internet, right? I had to go to the library. I had to buy books. I was reading how to print work, how to, you know, manipulate negatives. I how to you know, frame a shot. Like I'm self photography and cinematography. I'm self-taught, right? So I had to really rely on studying the craft. And once you study the craft, you're able to, you know, basically bring the level of quality, right, that you're presenting. And that's how I broke the doors, right? Then I found my market, which was definitely, and it was something that I didn't pursue. It just kind of happened organically, right? Where I was able to share my work with people that were at the same level as me, and we were like in the same room, and I was like, here it is, check it out. So and we grew together, and as you grow together, those people that are in the same level as you right now, you grow together, and you start hiring each other, you start, passing. So you got to build your network from scratch, right? And as you build, everyone else is building around.
Yeah, you have a really good quote. Your work is going to fill a large part of your life, and the only way to be truly satisfied is to do what you believe is great work. And the only way to do great work is to love what you do.
That's been the philosophy of my life, man. Like, to be honest with you, I give it my all, and I try to inspire as many people around me that work, with me. I think maybe, hopefully, they can say the same. um, but yeah, that's really the basis of it all. Like, you cannot be a filmmaker and have a successful career if you don't enjoy making films. Like, it's impossible. Like, if you're like, oh, another day, it's just, gotta wake up early to do this damn shoot. Like, every shoot for me is exciting. Whether I'm shooting the RZA, right, in the desert with dancers and smoke machines and, great production team, or I'm shooting, an ad for an insurance company and I have to interview a teacher. You know what I mean? Like, I'm just motivated. My motivation going to work is exactly the same. I'm always like a high level. You know what I mean? Like, I'm never like, oh, this work is, I got to do this for. No, man.
It's easy to get into that mode when it all comes down.
$100,000 or you pay me $1,000. I'm there showing up with my coffee in the morning. Like,
you're 100%.
100%.
Yeah.
100%, because I know that not going to work like that, I'm going to be behind a desk. Look where I'm at right now, under a halo. Do whatever I want.
The angel has descended to talk to us today. No, there are a lot of, there's fun in success. There's excitement in doing the work. Mm-hmm. There's also a lot to failure and learning from one's stumbling upon accidents or things that happen that aren't the outcome that we were once looking for. How did you deal with, there's a question that I'm pointing this towards that just came mm-hmm. in. How do you handle being rejected from multiple film festivals? But also a little further than that, how do you deal with all, your failures? How do you overcome that?
Right. Well, rejection it's a funny word, because rejection in some parts means something else, and rejection in some other means something else, right? Like, for example, rejection when you're trying to court somebody, right? No means no, right? No means no. If you're trying to, holler at somebody, you want to date somebody, you want to try to go out with somebody, whether men, women, when the person says no, that 100% means no. But when you are creating a connection with a client, and when you're trying to create a connection professionally for somebody to see the work, no today could mean yes tomorrow. And I'm going to explain. I actually, on my first film, The Love Potion, I got rejected by HBO. I sent my film through HBO. And that's really the time that I was like, and that happened to me, obviously, when I was like sending my book, my portfolio with all my photographs to get work. I got rejected many times. But I also got hired by the same people that rejected me a few times. So you have to understand that no means no right now for many reasons. It could be because you're working in a line with the festival, or you're working in a line with the client, but those clients, those festivals always come back next year. And you shouldn't be like, just be like, oh, they don't want my work. You need to always be reminding them of what you're doing. Because when you're reminding them of what you're doing, like, hey, I remember you said no now, but hey, check this out. Look what I shot. And look what once in a while, keep in touch, out of sight, out of mind, right? So back to the HBO story. 2010, I submitted a film called The Love Potion. I don't do really great films. No, I'm just kidding. I look at my film, I was like, man, I'm always like,
Are we ever satisfied?
Well, I've never enjoyed a full budget for a film. Like I do my music videos, right? For music videos, I got the world, I got best DPs, producers, like I move an army and we go and get done. For my films, it was always like me with a camera trying to do things that, it's challenging, right? So I'm always like, oh, I see better. Everybody was hungry and said we did not. People needed to go and eat. People didn't show up on time. Stuff happens when you have no money, right? And I feel the pain. A lot of our films get done that way, right? So I sent my film that actually showcased at the New York Latino Film Festival. Shout out to the New York Latino Film Festival in Calixto, always looking out for the kid. So I premiered to sold out, funny comedy. It's on the lovepotionmovie.com for those who want to see it. Still see it, it's free. So the Love Potion movie, I was able to license the film. I was able to license the film to MTV3, and I was able to license the film to Cine Latino. Dude, I make money with my film.
Congratulations.
But before that, I was actually had the audacity to go to HBO and be like, hey, here's my film. I met at the film festival, I met the acquisitions VP of acquisitions. And I got her card. I was like, hey man, I got this film, I want to show it to you. She's like, yeah, sure, send it to me, no problem. She sends me the most beautiful rejection letter I ever seen in my life, man. I still have that letter. The letter said something along the lines of like, hey, we saw your film. While it's a great film, it doesn't hold up to the quality standards that we are known for as HBO. You know what I mean? And I was like, damn it, she's right. There was some shaky cameras, there was some bad sound, and then she, at the end, she says, but if there's anything else that you're coming up with in the future, come and see me again, right? That's the only line I remember. That line, that open door, it was no today. But she said, if there's anything else in the future, come and see me again. And every once in a while, I'll be like, hey, how you doing? I got something. Until it hit. I landed my first film on HBO with a director from the festival. Her name is Alba Garcia, and we did a film called Taíno, which was a puppet film about Hurricane Maria. And the film also included an indigenous language from the Taíno indigenous people from Puerto Rico. And it was just a beautiful film. It was also proudly sponsored by Heather Henson, the Henson family. Heather Henson, the daughter of Jim Henson. For those who don't know, they created the Muppets, right? So here they are. They funded a little film about indigenous Taíno Indians from Puerto Rico, and it was kind of like an education film, beautiful film. Shout out to Alba Garcia, always so amazing, an amazing creator. And I came as a producer and an editor for the film. I shot it too. She directed it, so I, collaborated. And I was like, let me go to, to that email once again. I say, hey, I shout out to Leslie Cohen for doing such an amazing work at the HBO Film Festival, and listen, she loved the film. She loved the film, and
so a lot
give it a
can.
shot.
Yeah, I mean that's a great.
And that was before. That was before they were sponsoring the festival. So I was like, if you like this film, I have 100 films to show you. You know what I mean? And she was like, oh, I like the idea. And Lucinda Martinez was running the marketing department. Jessica Vargas, Maggie, a lot of the women from there, like basically were like, yeah, this makes this perfect sense for the brand. And they gave us a deal. So now, because of that rejection letter, right, said, whenever you have something else, just come and show it to us. I was able to turn a rejection into a positive. So, don't never take a rejection as a definite no. It's always a maybe, right? It's always a maybe. It means no right now, but like, maybe if you have something else, it'll be the right time in the right place, right? And you have to manage that. You have to manage that with film festivals as well, right? Oh, they didn't take my film. Another film festival is going to take it, right? And then you also need to network, right? And meet people, go to festivals, be online, connecting with people, show your film. That's how I handle rejection.
Yeah, rejection is hard for many. It's something that you have to work through. I think I used to say, I feel bad for actors that get rejected from their auditions, but producers and directors also get rejected all the time. So what?
Yeah, but actors handle it better. Actors understand that rejection comes part of their career, right? So they, for every 50 auditions, they get like 1 or 2, and that's where they focus on it. And when you get 1 or 2, that's the one, right? You only need 1 hit, right? So I will say, always understand that it's a growing career, right? There's rejection is part of the deal, but don't let a no destroy you or break your dreams. Like, it will change eventually, right? And think about it like this, like, especially if you're starting, right? A doctor or a lawyer, right? They don't start their career until like 12 years of like school, dude. A doctor don't start making money until like after 8 years of school, 2 years of special grad school, 2 years of like being what do you call an intern in a hospital, what do you call that, a resident doctor. They don't start making money until like 12, 14 years. You know what I'm saying? So right. For a filmmaker, you out of college, you out of school, it's gonna take you a couple of years to get the flow of things. You know what I mean? And then, but once you get it, because it comes, you own that flow, right? So I will say, make sure you manage that and don't let the word no, break you right now. It's part of what we came up with. Like, it's part of the deal. It's part of the gigs, and sometimes it's not even about the artwork. Sometimes it's about, well, a lot of the times it's about like the right artwork and chemistry and, the client, and maybe relationships too, right? When you're pitching your work, sometimes they'd rather people hire who they know. So start meeting people. If your circle around you is not hiring, move up to the next circle. Maybe you want to PA for a film that is being produced. Maybe you feel that you're better than a PA. You should be directing, but meeting people is what's going to get you in the door, right? So that's how I will handle it. That's how I would recommend people to.
Well, thank you. Thank you for sharing that. I also wanted to share your reel.
Oh yeah, sure.
So,
I got to update that thing, but yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, can we play that?
Absolutely.
Awesome. Danny, that's amazing. That's great work.
I think it's 3 billion now. 3
So,
billion and counting.
Yeah, no, I want to just ask you one last question that came in through our questions here. What's one tangible piece of advice that you haven't mentioned yet that you can give to students or alumni who want to submit their films to film festivals? To a film festival.
I think it's important to recognize the genre of film that you're making, you know, and I mean, but I don't want to say the wrong thing because I almost feel like, you know, from a film festival point of view, like I'll say like, don't worry too much about the bigger festivals like Sundance and Tribeca and all those film festivals. And the only reason why I say that before anybody gets, you know, crazy with my statement is that those films, the submissions for those films are like thousands and thousands of films. You know what I mean? So your chance to get selected, it's very slim, right? So, you know, people put their hopes right away coming out of school, like the big festivals, right? And the problem with that sometimes is that maybe the boutique festivals that are, you know, smaller will probably do better for you, because one, their network maybe it's more community based, right, versus film elite based, right? You know, and you start getting maybe, you know, maybe more recognition, and as you climb up in the festival circuit, you know, if you don't have a direct connection with them, like, you know, there are like Sundance Labs and, you know, Tribeca Axis and like all these, you know, workshops that they do, that actually, if you are part of those programs and workshops, you get first, you know, access to the festivals, and they, you know, obviously they're gonna look out for you that way, right? But when you are got cold, you know, open on them, you're competing with a massive amount of films, and you know, it's a tough one, right? So my advice is that don't get so hung up if you get rejected in those film festivals. Do put your hard-earned money, you know, on the smaller festivals, because you also learn from that smaller experience, right? Like you learn how they operate, but by the time you do 3 or 4 of those, you might be ready for those Tribeca, Sundance, you know, South by South that are more, you know, the experience is way different, right? Because who doesn't love to go to the festivals, right? So that would be my only advice on it. Like, you know, start like identifying who are your more reachable, you know, festivals, and work it out that way, right? If going to, I mean, hey, if you got an outstanding gem, that by all means, when people watch that film, they just, you know, fall in their backs because of the film, then by all means go for it, you know. But even that sometimes, you know, doesn't get you in because of the volume that those, you know, film festivals get. Like if we get in like 300, 400, 500 films, they get in like 4,000 or 5,000 films. It's crazy.
It's a large amount, but be persistent, yeah. Never give up. Danny,
absolutely.
Danny, I want to say thank you for your words of wisdom.
Oh man, you're welcome.
Your inspiration. I think it'll serve a lot of the viewers well to take your advice. I also wanted to thank the Los Angeles Film School Alumni Association and the Los Angeles Film School for putting this event on. Cecilia Berry and all her team under the events department at the LA Film School. And of course, Alex Rufino for connecting us and making this happen. Did you want to say any last things before we close out?
Yeah, I want to invite everyone, like all the alumni, to come and check out the festival at no charge. We're gonna have a little code, a code for you guys through the student department of the Los Angeles Film School, so you can enjoy the code and you can actually check out all the films for free. Yeah, I mean, you know, thank you for having me. I speak passionately, you know, about the community because it's painful. It's painful. It's painful to watch, and I think the only ones responsible for it is the industry that doesn't recognize us as the powerful community that we are. But I'm not asking for favors, and I'm not asking for handouts. We're doing it ourselves, and that's, you know, that's the only way we can, because they're never going to give it to us. We have to go and break the doors and just get in the room and create our own room, right? And that's all I can do right now, mi gente. So thank you for having me, and check out officiallatino.com. Get familiar with the festival. Follow me on Danny Hastings all across the board. You know, I'm team follow back, so you follow me, I follow you.
I followed you today, so hopefully,
All right,
you'll
man.
follow me back, man.
I get you, Mario.
All right. So thank you again. I think we do have to pave our own road sometimes. Be an entrepreneur, be a filmmaker, always be creating. I just want to mention a couple of events that are coming up for the students. There's a Halloween event happening today at 6 o'clock, so shortly. So hopefully you'll have a good time. Check your Facebook page or the newsletter. There's a military annual salute Friday on November 12th at 5 o'clock. So please tune in as we celebrate our veterans. Students, keep checking your newsletters and social media because you're going to miss out on events if you don't check it. So again, my name is Mario Novoa. Thank you very much, and we'll see you soon.
Yay! Put that beat.